All right, everybody, I've got 3:30. Let's get started. I want to welcome everybody to our work session. Train is not here, correct? Okay, Mr. Sheriff Hamilton, you have anything?
Yes, sir. Hey, just right quick, Mr. Conley's out of town today. He was supposed to come up here with me. Just a brief summary of what's going on County Road 581. There's two properties there. One is a nuisance property that was seized through the court that now belongs to the county. And there's a second property that joins it that was deeded over to the county. Mr. Conley has stated in the past that when someone deeds a property over, I think that maybe the county has paid what they owed in taxes. So this particular piece of land is like maybe $500 and something in taxes. I don't have the paperwork on it with me. He was supposed to bring it, but he's out of town. But just going to brief y'all on that. Like I said, that whole set of properties down there has been a nuisance. We're in the process of cleaning it up, and there's a lot of material and junk left on that property. So Tom and I have been talking as well about getting it cleaned up. But whenever Mr. Conley gets back in town, we'll bring the actual documents and paperwork on that. Make that request to pay the taxes on that. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Mr. Hamilton? Mr. Pettis?
Yes.
Are you probate judge, Ms. Holmes? Do you have anything?
I just wanted to take this time to introduce myself. So I'm Sarah Holmes, the new probate judge in Lauderdale County. Today I took my oath of office, and I will be planning an investiture ceremony that I will invite you all to in the near future. But I just wanted to take a moment to introduce myself, let you know that I am ready to serve the citizens of this county, and I am looking forward to it. So thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, this went pretty quick. Mr. Hill?
Good. So
No, Eric, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Say your
Thank you,
feelings
Mr.
are
Chairman.
hurt now. We didn't mean that.
Take all you need.
Take all the time you need.
All right. So if you guys will recall, a couple years back, we built an on-site facility for fuel storage and some fuel tanks and dispensers at our place, and got rid of our leaking underground tanks. And so we used above ground tanks. And so kind of all the dust has settled from that. And we are looking to hire a consultant out of Birmingham called CDG. They're a consultant that basically will come in and they will do a spill prevention plan for us, which is required for us to get back into the trust fund, the Alabama Trust Fund, which basically all fuel stations are in, and basically you pay a little bit into that every year, and then you're covered if you have a leak. If you recall, because we were in that trust fund, they paid out several $100,000 on our fuel spill that we still don't know if we ever had. But it's basically a really cheap insurance company or insurance coverage for fuel tanks. Our tanks are above ground, so it should be pretty easy, but there are horror stories. And so I think it's between $4,500 and $5,000 through the agreement, which I think is a great price, and that'll get us in. And so, but we do have to do an agreement with that. So, and I think Ms. Slatton, I've emailed you that already. Next thing I've got is just really, no action on this, just kind of a heads up. We met with Rogers Group last week and got our paving scheduling set up, and we're looking for those guys to come in June, which is really good for us. That gives us plenty of time to be prepared for them. From a budgeting standpoint, we're good on budget, but just kind of understand our process, our new process with our full depth road reclamation. So we're going into a road that just needs full rebuild. And we go in and we call that machine the palmer. So we go in and we palmer the road. We'll put Portland cement down. That stuff's about $5,000 for easy math. Let's call it $5,000 a load. Okay, we're going to do one or two of those a day. Okay, so there's $5,000 to $10,000 a day for that process. Significantly cheaper than what we used to use in rock, but still there's costs associated with it. Once we finish that, a majority of those roads we will go back in-house and we will pave that. We'll put a binder layer down with our guys. They'll go in, they'll pave it, and that road will sit there until Rogers Group comes back and they pave it. Okay, so it's the same process, but it's going to look a little different because out of our budget is going to come the cement cost and that binder asphalt. Okay, of course our guys, labor and all that stuff's already accounted for, but so it's the same numbers, but it may come from different line items. And we've been talking with Kim and Anita about getting all that worked out. But I just kind of wanted to get in front of y'all on that, make sure you understand. There may become a time in the summer we may have to do some budget transferring to move stuff around from pot to pot, because right now it's in materials, but it may need to come, some of our contract paving money may move to our materials budget so that we can make all that work. So no extra money needed, just know we're kind of dancing with that, because as this process is new to us, we're learning like which pot's gonna need what money. So just kind of want to let y'all know that. So if I come back in and say, yeah, he's spending too much money, same money, just,
We're probably gonna say that anyway, Eric. but-
You probably are. It's a good point.
Hey, let me ask
I
you
don't
this,
blame
Eric, if you went up there and looked at that road, that first road we did,
first row, oh, yeah, yeah.
I tell you what, it looks awfully good. I mean, I wonder if what is the extra cost? All right, if we're gonna repay 207 and we wanna put the binder on and grind it, what's the added cost per mile?
It's not. Compared to our old process of bringing in all that rock to build the base, it's just about a wash. Like
No, I'm talking about though, as opposed to resurfacing, just resurfacing. How much is it gonna add?
You're probably looking at 40% more. But any road that we
Yeah.
could just resurface, we just resurface anyways. These are the roads that,
I think there's a lot of those out there.
There's a
A
lot.
lot more than we realized when we
Yeah.
started this process.
so we're excited about it. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm getting calls from all over. A lot of people are watching what we're doing. And so some county out of Florida, looking at us, they're looking to buy one of these machines too. And so we're kind of the talk of the town right now as far as what we're doing. We're definitely doing it the right way. So, and we're excited too. The productivity of what we have scheduled for this year compared to last year is just amazing. Just remember, it took 4 weeks to do it last year, and we can do it in 4 days now. So it's really speeding us up. So we're excited about that. So only other thing I've got, we haven't met since the storms last weekend, and we had talked about this email process that Mr. Holmes had set up for us. You know, it works so good. We even did a hybrid off of that. When the call volume got so high through 911, Brad called and we kind of worked it out where we told my on-call guys, so put yourself in that guy's shoes. You're the guy with the chainsaw, you're out there cutting trees in the road, and your phone rings. If you hear it, you stop the chainsaw, you answer it, you're like, okay, County Road 422, all right, you write it on your hand, or you remember it or whatever, and then you get 3 calls where you're cutting that tree, and you go back to the truck and you're trying to remember. Well, we actually, when the call volume got high, they stopped calling us. And we communicated very well, very clearly with the guys, hey, your phone's not gonna ring. When you finish the tree you're on, look at your phone. You're gonna have more emails. And then the guys could sit in the truck, okay, figure it out, map it out where they go. So much more efficient, so much just better for everybody. And so thankful for that process. It's working great. So that's worked out good. We've clean up. We're still working on it. If you get calls on driveway pipes, we're probably a couple weeks out on driveway pipes right now. I think we've had 160 work orders come in since that. That's a lot. I mean, even the front counter's been busy. I mean, it's been hard for her just to stay on top of answering the calls. And so, but we're looking at it. And last night was a good reminder of what needed to be fixed, and so they've called back. So, but we're working through it. So if you get calls, let them know we're trying as hard as we can. It's driveway pipes, so I'd say would be the thing that would come in and move down a little bit. Just because we're trying to get our stuff open as best we can. We had a driveway this morning somebody still couldn't get into. It'd been washed out, and so we got it open today. So that's all I got, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask Eric, touch on FY26 out of Adderholt's office, dealing with the Waterloo Bridge and the one that we had to resubmit, and 2, the additional cost, which is probably going to be good for us in the long run.
Sure. So, if you recall, we were allocated money from Adderholt's office for the Waterloo Bridge project, and it was, I'm gonna call it $8 million. It's right around $8 million is what we asked for, and we got a partial allocation of that. We thought Senator Tulver's office may come in and give us the rest of it, and that just didn't come through. And so basically, we have to reallocate that. We kind of have to re-up, and so it's still out there. So in the process, it really came aware to us that there's a 6-inch line that services Waterloo. So you got one line going in, and it's hanging on that bridge. You know, and that's old policy. We don't allow water lines to hang on bridges anymore. It's a big no-no for us. And so we got prices on that and added that to the estimate, and it's got the estimate now right at about 9.2 for the whole project. That's $350,000 is probably what that water line cost. That was our estimate. It was about $350 a foot. We estimated about 1,000 feet. So we're to that point. I've been working with Commissioner Hackworth and getting NACOG's doing our application for us, but we're actually kind of having to go back and get our recommendation letters. So we've got let's see, the town of Waterloo. I've got a list here. Town of Waterloo. I think actually the sheriff's department gave us one.
Sheriff gave us one.
Believe so.
The,
work on that.
The school system gave us one. Waterloo
Yeah.
High School gave us one.
The cabins down there, that business owner gave us one. And so we'll have to reach out and basically get they can take the same thing and just change the date on it basically. But so we're redoing that. And that's got to be submitted this week basically.
So will that money have to be in next year's budget, Joe?
Yeah.
The continuing resolution didn't cover any of that.
That's right. So we wouldn't get that till next spring.
Remember, the TVA process on this thing is going to be long. So it's, while we would like to have it now, just know that the TVA process will take, it's going to take every bit of 12 months. So.
And speaking with Craig Kennedy, he seems to think that our place will be secure and maybe even, the additional cost, the fact that they couldn't fund it all last year. So we're hoping good things come out of having to wait.
Speaking of TVA, I'm still waiting on a call back on our program. So, all right. Thank you.
Mr. Smith, you got anything?
Just a couple of things. First of all, during the flood 2 weeks ago, we lost a dumpster at Water's Edge RV Park. We located it this week. It's on the beach area at Spring Cove, upside down. I talked to one of my guys who's got a boat. They're going to try to get out there this week and look at it to see. It's not going anywhere. It's laid on its side. So we're going to look at it and see if it's full of water and what we got to do. And I talked to Jimmy Eaton. He does barge work out on Shoals Creek. And he told me he'd be back in town. And he said, I can get it for you. It's just going to cost me something. It's going to cost me more than the dumpster cost me to get it. But we're liable for it. And that's the thing. We got to get it up. So he said he'd work with us. He's going to cut me a pretty good deal. So I'll know later on what to look at. I just want to let you know about that. So, other thing, back in January, y'all agreed to me to write off a couple of bad debts. I didn't do one of them just to see if I could get in touch with the guy in Click. It's $1,000-something. He won't return my call, so I'm just going to go ahead and give the information to Alicia and get it off the books. And the only other thing is we talked a little bit about what some of the other counties are doing as far as landfills. All right. One thing that they're doing and looking at now along real hard is Saturdays. A lot of them are closing, opening once a week, once a month. And I went back and looked at hours. And I'll get a little bit more details, but I was going to let you know what I went back for 6 months. For the last 6 months, we've taken in $15,000 for 6 months worth of Saturdays at the landfill. Our wages are $3,500 a month there. So we're not taking this for 4 hours, So we're not taking in enough to do anything. Most of that coming in at the landfill on Saturdays or public stuff, which freebies. Some of them, what they've done, are opening once a month, and that's opening all day long instead of just 4 hours. They're opening all day to take in that. So that's just something to think about. I've got to go to a conference next weekend, and some of this is going to be talked to about some other landfill people, and I want to talk to them, see what they're doing. And the reason they're doing this is ADM has changed. They consider your work week at the landfill Monday through Friday. And if you don't have it covered, in our situation, covered once a week, and they show up on Mondays, they cite you. They cited the city of Florence for that. And, you know, and they take in stuff on Saturdays. They don't have enough people there to cover it, you know, Saturdays. I don't bring enough operators in on Saturdays. Most of my people, they got enough just to move it around and keep it piled up, but not covered. So that's why a lot of them is thinking about just going Monday through Friday to take that out of ADM's, you know, their help. So, but anyway, I'll let you know more when I find out. Here's some more. So, but that's just something to think about. So,
Tom,
yes.
how many people would that translate to, the money versus?
10.
10 people basically per Saturday?
Yeah. And so that's all overtime. But see, and what I use them to do is, not only are they're spotting and covering, but I got them out picking up paper. Because that's something that we have to do routinely, is pick up the litter. And you know how much the wind's been blowing lately. We've been picking up all up and down Highway 157 and all over everywhere else. Last week, I had 3 people doing nothing but picking up paper, trying to keep it up.
Do you think it'll increase our illegal dumping?
See, I don't know. One thing I thought about, if we did this, if we opened one Saturday a month, whatever Saturday is, and we're open all day, I'm talking about from 7:30 to 3:30, like a normal day. That should give everybody plenty of time to come. We're getting, the only people that we get come in on Saturdays, usually commercial, is roofers.
But I'm talking about.
I know. I don't know if there's anything that's gonna stop that or help it. You know, I got a call today about some stuff out on County Road 2, about tires and illegal dump stuff out there. And it's what Joe's talking about. It's, me and him was out there for the day, and it's, I don't know how they live in that stuff, but, you know. But anyway, that's just something to think about. I mean, if we're talking about cost saving, you know, that's something that we need to look at, you know. I mean, because I thought about trying to cut the workforce down on Saturdays, but there's some days, some Saturdays, they'll have 35 to 40 cars coming there in 4 hours. And, you know, you can't handle it, but with 2 or 3 people, because they're just piling in them. I've had them out there working themselves, and they'll be lined up to the highway by the time we open up. So, but anyway, it's just something to think about, to go forward. And I'll let you know more after we meet. And like I said, that's one reason I'm going next weekend, is talk to some of them about that. So that's all I got.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hunt?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Got 2 things I need your signature on. So part of our agreement with the state for housing some equipment up here is that they pay or reimburse us for any expense. So this is a reimbursement for a $300 repair to a generator that you, as a commission, passed years ago for us to maintain that. And then the second is our EMPG reimbursement, which is about $56,000. So those are pretty cut and dry. Only 2 things that I have for you today. I was talking with Anita this morning, and if you'll recall, in last fiscal year's budget, you had approved the contract with Fitch and Associates for the ambulance study countywide. That contract wrapped up in December, so the last billing for that was in December, so it's $26,824.42. Since it was in last year's budget and we did not account for it in this year's budget, Anita has requested that we get a budget amendment to cover that. Still well within my budget, so it shouldn't have any negative effect where that's concerned. But if you are agreeable, we'll get that on the agenda next week, or next commission meeting. All right, and then the second, for years and years, and this goes back to when Lauderdale County still had active rescue squads, and before ACCA started offering the blanket insurance that covers commissions, employees, and volunteers, the rescue squad at that time, or civil defense before it was EMA, took out a policy that covered work comp claims or work comp issues for any volunteers that were working on behalf of civil defense during emergency situations. So for instance, if we have a flood happen and I respond to the flood and we're trying to get somebody out of an area and I were to direct them to do that, then that policy would cover it. However, in talking with Ms. Slatton over the last couple of weeks, that type of coverage already exists within the county policy. That being said, I don't see any reason to continue paying that additional $1,600 a year for a secondary policy when it's already covered by the main policy. So with your consent, I want to cancel that policy separate from what the county already has, but then ask the commission to consider an authorizing resolution that would solidify that in an emergency, that the commission gives me the authority to take volunteers and to act on behalf of our office in those emergency situations. The way that the insurance policy lays it out is it gives the commission and/or department heads that authority. However, in order to make sure that we're covered across the board, I think it would be best that we pass a resolution where you either say yay or nay. I do have the ability to do that. Any questions?
What kind of liability would that?
It's so if a volunteer firefighter who is not on duty that day shows up at a scene and wants to assist, and I instruct them, yes, I need you to go search those 3 houses. And while they're searching those 3 houses, let's say a tornado was hit, they trip and they twist their ankle. Then our work comp policy, at that point in time, they would be considered an employee of the county during that time at my direction, and work comp would cover that. That's kind of the generalized situation. Any questions about that? All right, last, just to piggyback on what Eric had said. So there were areas in the county during that storm that received in excess of 8 inches of rain. Particularly with what happened at Bluffview Shores and Water's Edge and what we'll call the upper end of Shoal Creek, was a combined issue, not just with the rain that we had gotten, but the rain that they had gotten just over the state line. And so in talking to a lot of the residents up there, they were unaware that there was a water gauge that is at the canoe launch, if you will, that's on NOAA's website. And we basically had about a 9.5 foot raise in water level. So most folks went to bed at midnight and the water was up above the deck of their boat dock, and then woke up the next morning to find that the water was at their doorstep. I think there was one structure that had water inside of it. Otherwise, we had some pontoon boats that got loose, various other things, including a hot tub and a dumpster. So all of that's getting cleaned up and taken care of. Very thankful for the folks that live up on that end of the creek who were Johnny on the spot to help the neighbor out. Otherwise, there were no other significant impacts. Did have a couple of roads that washed out, and Eric and his folks have just been Johnny on the spot getting them squared away. Next severe weather event is this coming Sunday. I'll keep you advised.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody got anything else for him? All right, y'all, anybody that wants to go? Brooke, what do you have for us?
In your packets, I've got a list of budget amendments or budget one. I actually need Kim and Kelly and Alicia. Can y'all come up here? It's gonna look like this. And you guys are familiar with these. So the first thing that we're gonna talk about is the town of Anderson had asked for a budget, for a request for funds for their annual Founders Day event. And I can put it on the next agenda, but the part that's in red, those are the things that we don't really budget for, but it looks like every year we're making those into a budget. So we just kind of want to streamline the process, go ahead and put them into the budget for next year, so that way we don't have to come back and ask at every meeting, pass resolutions at every meeting for something that you're doing every year anyway. That was one thing on the streamline. The other thing on the streamline, you heard Eric talk about it, and you've heard Brad talk about it. When you have line items in the budget and your overall budget's not affected, you're just moving it from one line to another line. We prefer to do that all at one time at the end of the year. That's something that the Department of Revenue does now with the reappraisal budget, instead of every time you hit a line. I think that will help y'all as well as it will help their departments. So I have those. Then the next thing, or the next sheet, is gonna be about a meeting that we had with the policy on maintenance items. first sheet's the original, where Britt and I have met with some people. Andy and Amy and Bill, I can't remember the gentleman's name. This is what they originally requested. But when you flip over, you'll see an Excel spreadsheet that I did. And you'll see where I've got the meeting in the mail. Then I have the notes from the meeting that we had with them, where they've already paid for some items, but we don't have the invoices. Or it was an estimate, it wasn't actual bid price. But then I received an email, which is on the next sheet, where the quote that they've gotten was more than double what they originally gave us. And there was a verbal estimate that they had received on the flooring, which was about 50 grand more than the first estimate that they gave us. So the amount that they were kind of looking at originally was $116,000 from the county, which now would be at least about $196,000. So I didn't know if y'all wanted them to come and talk to y'all at some point, or if y'all would have a group of people amongst yourselves to go and talk to them. At the bottom of that spreadsheet, I put down what we've done since 2022 for our appropriations, for miscellaneous repairs, roof repairs that we've done for the Coliseum. And you'll notice each year we're doing a $10,000 appropriation. But in 2022, we did $32,716 of repairs, and we did $1,225 worth of roof repairs last year for 2023. So,
Let me ask you this, so this is just me from having a little bit of knowledge, for there are a couple things I would want to ask them is about their flooring. So I think they've replaced that flooring now twice in about 10 years. And so they got a lot of money in the flooring already. And the second thing that I would probably ask, and this is new to me, but I feel better giving them an appropriation than them coming to us when something happens. Does that make sense? And they come to us with this large amount, where probably 10,000 wasn't enough, but I don't know what y'all been doing or how that works, but that's a huge increase right there. The appropriation sounded better, more consistent, but I think we probably would want to hear from them.
Well, man, do we use that for anything,
Yeah, I'd like to know what the
There are
benefits to the
citizens.
county.
I don't know.
The only one I know is when Brad and them used it, and they had to pay extra because of some insurance purposes.
I asked the other day, no, to my knowledge, no county school is using that again.
I mean, any county citizen, does any county citizen use that?
Only when it's shared with, like, when NACOG does their senior day and things like that.
But don't we think we'll have a better facility for all that soon?
I'm thinking we will.
I would think so. So this all goes back to a grant in the 50s. That
52.
52, and I don't know what the commitment was then.
I'm not sure.
Nobody was here then.
I'm not sure if the county, it's Florence, Lauderdale, Coliseum. I'm not sure if we're on the deed.
That's what I was wondering. Are we on
And
that
if you
deed?
look at the main stage, I was there Friday night for lead out. And on the main stage is a beautiful Florence City emblem, but there's no real mention of Lauderdale County. And that's okay, but when they're expecting us to pick up 50% of all the maintenance costs,
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, I mean, I think there definitely needs to be more conversation about this before we
Yeah.
do anything.
we need to communicate with them.
Yeah. I agree.
So,
is there any particular people y'all want me to hear them to on the board? Or do y'all just-
Brad and Todd.
Brad Cox?
I got it.
All right.
Brad will be the chairman on that.
Unless Mr. Hackworth, I didn't mean to exclude you, Mr. Hackworth.
I'll yield.
Yeah, okay. I yield with you.
Brad and Todd, I put the diagram and the quote in the packet that I gave you that they sent to us. Okay? All right.
Thanks.
The next few pages on here, the ACAA is the Association of County Administrators of Alabama. We had talked when I was originally hired and interviewed about education and going to classes. So, Kelly, Laura, Kim, and Alicia, there are some classes that I want them to go to and I've got them registered for. It's the ones in June, July, and September because March and April are already filled up. But I want them to all get their basic certification.
Good.
And that way, everybody knows what everybody else is doing while we're doing what we do. So the puzzle pieces should come together a little bit better. Then on the next page, there's a schedule. I've got Laura, Kelly, These go through the AAPPA, so they're signed up for these. That should help with their HR payroll process and a little bit on our workers' comp processes. And then I've got conference in May. And I would like for Kelly, Kim, and Alicia to go to that conference too. It's the conference that's just for administrators. Just to kind of network, meet people, go to the meetings, learn more in depth about what's going on and what will be going on in the future with legislative and changing laws. And then the last thing I've got is students. And I talked to Todd a little bit about this the other day, but either sometime this summer or in the fall, I would like to get 2 or 3 students to work the front, kind of put one of the AP girls that's currently in the front into an office and back so that they can actually do the paperwork and everything will be there, but to also start to bring in younger people to learn kind of what happens in an office setting, run errands, take care of mail, that kind of thing.
Mr. Chairman, I'm in favor of all of those.
Oh, yeah, it all sounds good to me.
Okay.
Appreciate the opportunities for the employees, and I think that's fantastic. That's one of the things we all talked about is taking advantage of the ACCA training. It's very reasonable and it's fantastic. I'll be down there next week. So.
Well, how soon do y'all think y'all might want us to start on getting students in? Do y'all want to do it over the summer? Do y'all want to do it over the fall?
For me, that, I mean, from my perspective, I'm like, whenever you want to do it.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
would think summer.
Okay. We're good with that. Yeah. That's all we have.
all right, anything else for? All right, y'all, I'll see y'all at 5.